Welcome back to the Sensual Reset Challenge. Yesterday, we explored a heart-healing breathwork to release resentment and past hurts from the heart space. Today, I wanted to take a moment to speak on boundaries as they are vital to protecting our emotional well-being. You may already be familiar with boundaries, but it still helps to have a clear definition. Boundaries are the limits and guidelines that you establish with yourself. These limits and guidelines define the behaviors and interactions you're personally comfortable with. Boundaries are very personal to you and your wants and your needs in a relationship. The responsibility of holding the boundary is, first and foremost, on you. A loving partner or friend may work to respect your boundaries, but at the end of the day, they have their own free will and free expression. And so that means they may evolve in such a way that they're no longer able to hold your boundary and remain authentic to who they are or who they want to be. When this happens, in the best case scenario, we can recognize this and amicably shift the relationship accordingly. But I really want you to know, because I think we talk a lot about boundaries these days, but sometimes it feels like just homework. Or like, we're creating rules of engagement, but it's so much more than that. When it comes to being a fully embodied being, able to express your soul's brilliance and your magnificent love, boundaries give us the conditions to do so safely and without fear. In this way, boundaries are both loving to you and the outside world, because it means you're going to be able to give the best of you to more people, instead of, depleting yourself for the sake of another person, and as a result, contributing anger and frustration and low energy to every other relationship that you have. Boundaries allow us to show up as our best selves and do so in more and more of the spaces that we occupy. Boundaries are a way of loving you and others well. And so let's go back to yesterday's exercise. So we work to release resentment around a specific past relationship or situation that you brought into the practice. Take a moment right now to consider, where did I need a boundary in this situation? Or where did I have a boundary that was violated? Typically, resentment I like to think of it as calcified anger. And anger comes up when we have someone or something that has violated a spoken or unspoken boundary. Whenever we experience anger or resentment, they often come with a lesson on boundaries and where a violation has occurred, or perhaps where we have not been holding and maintaining a boundary that is important to us. The experience often highlights a boundary that we haven't even spoken before, that we weren't even consciously aware of. So it can breed this wonderful opportunity for us to shift our boundaries accordingly and move with more discernment. And so take a moment to think about yesterday's scenario that you brought up into the healing session and identify if there was a boundary violation or a new boundary that came out of that situation, and just hold it in mind for just a moment. Because now I want to actually rephrase the question. I want to ask it in a new way, because I think it will illuminate something new for you. And so reconsider the situation or your general patterns in relationships right now. What about this situation or your general patterns in relationships right now is not in alignment with love? Because you see, within love, there is actually a natural boundary. The energy of love has a natural boundary. And I do want to note that this can actually be tricky to feel if you have experienced abuse or manipulation, especially narcissistic abuse. Because in these types of dynamics, our empathy and our love have typically been used to manipulate us and to get us to behave in a certain way or comply to another's demands. And so if you do have that in your history, keep that in mind. But once you begin to heal your relationship with your own heart space and you're able to feel the full love of your spiritual heart, the love that your deeper self has for you, you will notice that real love naturally repels and attracts. And it does this without needing to physically push away or chase. When we stand in our own worthiness, we stop making excuses for others, and we trust when our heart says yes. And we also trust when it says, no further. You will not come any closer. This is not for me. Today, I invite you to spend some time reflecting and journaling on the words loving boundaries. Loving boundaries. What comes up for you when you hear that? Loving boundaries. Do you have a belief that boundaries can be loving? Do you feel that they aren't and you're not being loving when you have boundaries? If that's the case, where does that idea come from? Do you have a fear of boundaries? Why or why not? And this is an important one. How would your boundaries shift if the priority was creating an environment where you were optimally loved and felt free to love? And so if you thought about boundaries as the parameters, they're playing an important role to create a specific environment, kind of like gates around an enclosure, so that your inner garden could flourish. If that was their primary role, how would they need to change so that what's inside this environment was actually a place where you are loved and you feel free to love? You may even want to consider, what roles are your boundaries playing right now? Do they have holes in them? Are there rips in the fence where foxes can come in and steal your chickens? Are they protecting you, or do you keep them low to make someone else feel comfortable? Are they doing a good job of creating a loving world for you to play in? And if not, what does that mean? So there's many reasons why we develop healthy or unhealthy patterns with boundary setting. If you would like support in addressing your fears around setting boundaries and clarifying what are healthy boundaries, please explore my private coaching offerings at uniquebelle.com/coaching. If you're experiencing financial hardship, I still would love to support you. Coaching is an investment in time and energy and finances, but I don't want financial hardship to prevent you from still accessing help. If you're experiencing financial hardship, please do explore my Nurture Sessions program, where you can book a select amount of sessions at a low rate. The amount of sessions available each week do vary, so check the calendar and claim a spot as soon as you can. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this was helpful. There's a lot to chew on here, but it is oh so important for cultivating a world where you can relax and be present with your senses and not worry about unstable relationships. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Unique Belle, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 23.